a bake shop that brings its community together through Asian-inspired treats. That and much more on this episode of Common Good, presented by Verizon. Today we're in Austin, Texas with Teresa Kwan, who co-owns Bom Bakeshop with her husband Hyun Soo. Together they're spreading joy, one mochi donut at a time.
It started with a dream almost 10 years ago to do a gluten-free bake shop because I'm celiac. My husband had discovered baking when we first met in Korea, and as he was coming here, it was actually part of his American dream. Fast forward to 2020, the pandemic hit. My husband had been laid off at the beginning of the pandemic, and we were home. My friends said, it's been 8 years since you've talked about this bake shop thing. Maybe this is time. And that's how it started. It's old school style. There's no machines involved other than the actual mixer. We hand roll it out. We hand cut every single donut. It's all handmade. And it's really based on snacks and desserts that we grew up with as Koreans. And they're all 100% gluten-free, and you would never know it. We were really excited to be the first to bring Mochi Donuts to Austin, Texas. When I personally made Mochi Donuts and put it on my Instagram, people were like, "Where'd you get that? I'll pay money for it." And they would start showing up on my driveway buying these Mochi Donuts. People would be bouncing in their seats in their cars whenever I'm coming out with a box of Mochi Donuts. That was the reception that made us actually continue going and continue to make donuts.
Starting a business during the pandemic came with many challenges that Teresa and her husband had to overcome.
All of these things coming up during that period of time around race, around politics, specifically towards Asians, we were just rocked to the core. And with so much grief, with so many questions, with so much anger around and so much pain. And all we could think about was when people picked up our Mochi Donuts, when people tried our Mochi Donuts, when they posted on Instagram, and just the smiles on their faces, they were totally emanating joy. It was like roaring support, like people who not only showed up on our doorsteps to pick up, Mochi Donuts and make orders that made us 3 months out in terms of a wait list. It was also people who were saying yes with us. That to me was a sign that we hit on something that not only do we align with, but there are other people here who want the same thing. We had taken a break and we had restarted again with this idea that if we can do anything right now, it's really to spread joy.
And now a quick message from our sponsor, Verizon.
The promise of the digital world. An amazing connected landscape for everyone. The reality is that for many, that promise has not been fulfilled. At Verizon, we are committed to fulfilling the promise of the digital world. That's why for over a decade, we've been working to help everyone excel in the digital future by empowering students and teachers with the latest technology and training, improving digital skills for today's workforce, and assisting local businesses as they prepare for success in the digital economy with access to tech, tools, and free skills training. Verizon, helping fulfill the promise of the digital world.
We always like to give back in many ways. And we did that ever since we sold our very first muffin, where we barely made any money. We made no profits, but we were always no, we are always going to make extra. And we would drive around and we made baggies, brown bags for the homeless. And we also make extra and give to different emergency room staffs around Austin. Immediate next is opening a storefront, and we're really excited. We want to radiate goodness, and part of our values is that goodness and kindness always wins. I believe as long as you're aligned and as long as you're working from a place of abundance, those things can happen. And we need more people who are doing good and beautiful things in the world.
Thank you to Verizon for sponsoring this episode of Common Good.